podcast is going to be a bit of a sensitive matter. It's actually a matter that does not affect my life in the least, but it's something that does need to be addressed in regards to both the political sphere and the adult entertainment sphere, because though I'm definitely not a fan of the porn industry or pornographers for the most part, I do believe in transparency when it comes to information. And I feel that the wool has been pulled over many good people's eyes for far too long when it comes to an individual known as Alana Evans, aka Dawn Danguard. All right. What you have to remember when it comes to Alana Evans and the situation revolving around Donald Trump is that the only evidence that really corroborates her story is Stormy Daniels' testimony and the fact that the story was put into a mainstream media outlet known as the Daily Beast. Here's what a lot of people don't understand about Alana Evans and the Daily Beast, and it's just something that occurred to me tonight to look for. There is a connection between Alana Evans and the Daily Beast. She's not just a source for them. She's a journalist for them. She's listed as one of their authors. And that's very dangerous, because that shows that the Daily Beast is not only lacking credibility, because Alana Evans doesn't embody any credibility. Alana Evans should have done prison time. She probably needs to be in prison right now because she has worked as an illegal prostitute. Okay? She's an author for the Daily Beast. That means whenever you talk to Alana Evans, it's not off the record. Whatever you say to that woman could very easily, the very next day, end up in the Daily Beast. And there'd be nothing that you could do about it. And through the Daily Beast, it ends up in mainstream media. So if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing in the adult entertainment industry, you need to keep that in mind. Anything you say to that woman, if she doesn't like it, she could essentially blackmail you using her mainstream media connections. And I think that's what she is doing with the adult entertainment industry, because, you know, think about it. Considering her tie to the union, which essentially goes completely against all the pornographers, no one's ever going to hire her for anything again. Plus the weight gain. God. She posted a damn picture lately and it's like, why? Was it a joke? Maybe, maybe not. But Instagram wasn't even having it. They took that shit off. But no one's going to hire her for anything anymore. All right? She doesn't want to work, really. Not a regular job. She just wants to create a position for herself in the adult entertainment industry to where she's wielding power, to where she's essentially the leader of an organized crime group. So she's going to do anything and everything to try to blackmail people to accept her in that world, even if they don't want her anymore. The Free Speech Coalition tried to get rid of her and they couldn't do it. And from my perspective, the Daily Beast likely is posting stories that contain inaccurate information. I do not believe that Donald Trump ever invited Alana Evans to join the party when he was with Stormy Daniels. If you look at some previous podcasts, you will learn as to why. Just to summarize, it's because Donald Trump likely embodies a certain degree of racism to where he would not want to have a sexual interaction with a woman who has engaged in interracial scenes as heavily as Alana Evans has. I know that's a tough pill for many people to swallow, but I'm a black woman sitting here saying this because it's the reality. All right. when you look at any industry, whoever controls the media's perception of that industry is who essentially wields a lot of power within said industry. And that is the case when it comes to the adult entertainment industry and Alana Evans. Alana Evans essentially is the mainstream media mouthpiece as of current for the adult entertainment industry, whether they like it or not. And she set herself up in that position by being an author for the Daily Beast, being a source for the Daily Beast, also having a mainstream presence with, due to the Donald Trump situation, which likely is false. It's just a he said, she said kind of thing when it comes to Alana Evans, not when it comes to Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels is a completely separate issue. But you have to question, why would it be that Stormy Daniels would be so dependent upon Alana Evans? Now, my opinion on this is that I believe that Alana Evans acted as her booker or madam or pimp back at that time in 2006. I think that when Stormy was calling Alana Evans, when she was having her situation, her liaison with Trump, I think that the reason for those phone calls was so that Alana Evans could run Trump's credit card number so that Stormy could get paid that night. That's what I believe. All right. But let's put that to the side. Right now, Alana Evans essentially has the entire adult entertainment industry over a barrel due to her being a mouthpiece for the industry, whether they like it or not, considering her mainstream media presence. Okay? She really doesn't have any real power. If you were to take away her Twitter account, she would have zero power, because as of current, the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union is no longer legitimate. In fact, when I edit this podcast, I'm going to insert a tweet. May 19th, 2020, the i.e.a.u., likely Felicia Ann, posted the following. We would like to make the statement again that the APAG is no longer a chapter under the Department of Labor, and the individuals running the APAG union social media sites are acting illegally under our federal registered trademark. All former APAG members now fall under the i.e.a.u. So APAG is no longer a thing. When I say don't join, I'm not union busting. I'm just saying it's not a real union anymore. All right? A lot of people within the adult entertainment industry are under the impression that they have to listen to Alana Evans for whatever reason. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She doesn't hold any office. She is not a member of the Free Speech Coalition. In fact, she was booted out. As of current, she appears to be utilizing the alias Kelli Roberts to intimidate the current Free Speech Coalition CEO, a woman known as Michelle LeBlanc. If you run a search on Twitter for some tweets that were posted from the Kelli Roberts Twitter account to Michelle LeBlanc, they almost come across as being threatening. They have the tone of what, like, somebody who's running an organized crime group, per se, would use. It's very interesting. And, actually, let me bring up some of those tweets right now, because I think that Michelle of the Free Speech Coalition, and I don't speak to Michelle. I don't know Michelle. This is all speculation. But it seems like Michelle feels obligated to communicate with this now defunct union, when in actuality, she has no obligation to talk to those people. Not at all. So just give me a moment while I bring up those tweets. And as I've said in previous podcasts, there does seem to be evidence pointing toward Kelli Roberts, at least part of the time, in fact, being a guise of Alana Evans.
She was afraid that Alexandra Myers would recognize her voice as being the individual who identified herself as being Kelli Roberts in September of 2017. Seems pretty logical to me, right? Okay.
All right, for some reason, the operator of this Kelli Roberts account felt that they're in a position to tell Michelle LeBlanc how to do her job. It's a very interesting sort of attitude. Michelle at one point tweeted, "We don't want performers to pay for pass. We want more producers to help fund pass in the performer subsidy fund so that we can continue to work toward reducing the cost of testing for performers to $0. The few corporate donors who fund it now shouldn't be the only ones." And then Kelli replies, "But that's not what you said. You shamed performers for not paying for the maintenance in the past system. That's not okay. You always said it was free, and now you say there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Face palm." Sounds very much like Alana's tone, doesn't it? That was back in November of 2019. Let's cut to January of 2020. Michelle tweeted the following. January 26, 2020. "I was disappointed to learn that trans performers aren't nominated in the main categories for these award shows. For instance, Foxy 702 deserved a nomination for Most Epic Ass." Kelli Roberts replies, "It's not a political statement. It's a matter of different markets and basic economics. Porn is not one giant all-inclusive entity. We exist in niches, just like clothing stores do. There are people who like athletic shoes and those who like high fashion heels." And then she goes on for several tweets. "Yes, they are all shoes, but they are all very different products for very different markets. I'm sorry. I would assume the head of the FSC will understand the very basics of how our industry works. I guess not. Are you going to go to Foot Locker at the mall and demand they start selling yoga pants? No, duh, because it's not their market. And by the same logic, did you go to the Gay VN Awards this year and demand that they give out awards for the prettiest blonde female performer?" Blonde? "Or did you go to the BBW Awards this year and ask why they didn't have a category for petite teens? I didn't see you at this year's Night Moves Award." Now, I'm going to have to look to see if Alana went to all these awards. Anyway, she goes on and 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 on. But she concludes with the following. Keep in mind the FSC did essentially kick her out of their group. "After so many years of abuse and corruption in the FSC army, I had truly hoped that the new management would bring great change. Sadly, I see now that isn't the case. Oh well, I'll be here still fighting the good fight when they replace you. Good luck with your agenda." And keep in mind that Kelli Roberts is the designer of a framework or a program that's being proposed as a training program for adult actors and actresses. This program is called Performer Training. But here's the problem with Kelli Roberts. Kelli Roberts is the face of a sex trafficking gang, a legally charged sex trafficking gang known as the Luxury Companion, which encompassed LA direct models. You can go and look over at ktla.com when it comes to that. So it's always been very strange that Kelli Roberts would be accepted as a legitimate individual, an ethical individual, a professional individual even, within the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union, being that they were at least a federally recognized union. But it's just every day it's starting to point more and more towards Kelli Roberts in actuality being Alana Evans. Let's say hypothetically Alana Evans is some sort of a booker or a madam and has been for several years within the adult entertainment industry. For her to have the power to put information into the mainstream news sphere via the Daily Beast is a very dangerous thing. Not only for parties within the adult entertainment industry, but for any said John who may wield any sort of power in the world, who may have booked a porn star as an escort or a prostitute through her. I actually feel like it's incredibly dangerous for Michelle of the FSC to even entertain Alana Evans at this point. And if Michelle has been threatened by Alana Evans, I think that she needs to go to law enforcement and disclose what that situation is. Miss Evans posted a little earlier that she doesn't have a stake in this fight when it comes to the COVID-19 testing and whatnot, revolving around talent testing services. That's not true. Not at all, because Alana Evans has been in communications with Sixto Pacheco of Talent Testing Services for quite a few years now when it comes to altering the type of HIV test administered to the performers, an HIV test that more readily reveals whether or not somebody is an undetectable performer who may carry a low viral load when it comes to HIV. I actually wouldn't be surprised if in some way, shape, or form she was instrumental in that porn WikiLeaks situation revolving around Donnie Long and Michael Fatarosi, because when that porn WikiLeaks situation happened, it kind of threw up in the air who would control the performer testing. You had the AIDS Healthcare willing to step up, but then you had that private company, Sixto Pacheco's company, Talent Testing Services, who stepped in and picked up where i.e.a.u. Healthcare left off, and i.e.a.u. used to be controlled by the FSC. Now in time, the FSC was able to create PASS, which kind of replaced i.e.a.u. It's actually much better than i.e.a.u. was. But now you have talent testing wanting to, run with the ball on their own. And, it all has to do with greed and whatnot. Actually, it's funny. Sean Tompkins, TRPWL, he did try to warn the FSC about this situation. He also seems to have tried to stop Alana in some capacity, but I think Alana holds some sort of leverage over him. He's scared of her. I think it's important that people take a look at how many mainstream articles, meaning mainstream news articles, Alana Evans is a part of that originate with the Daily Beast. I'm actually going to read some of the headlines and give you the dates, okay? October 26, 2019. Porn star Alana Evans, Depp Truther Army is worse than Trump's. Why is she a source in this? What does she know about Johnny Depp or anything mainstream, really? She shouldn't be in that article. But like I said, she is listed as an author for the Daily Beast. So she could be theoretically writing these articles herself under a pen name and then injecting herself as a source or somebody who they interview. It's like she's interviewing herself. It's weird. All right, February 28th, 2020. There's another Daily Beast article titled, "Porn Stars Are All In on Bernie Sanders." Really? That's not true. If anything, I would say that considering the backgrounds of most adult entertainment performers, I would say that the performer talent pool as a whole is backing Trump more than anybody else. Seriously, they're not backing Bernie Sanders. They're backing Donald Trump because they come from households that back Donald Trump. Okay, let's stop this. April 14th, 2018. The other woman in the Stormy Daniels Trump saga. He knows what he's done. And again, this is all about Alana Evans, but is she legitimately the other woman? No. There's not even any pictures that I'm aware of with Alana Evans and Trump. Now, there's pictures with Jessica Drake and Trump, and if you take a look at Alana's Twitter, you will see how extensively she has bullied Jessica Drake. I think it's due to jealousy. But even though Jessica Drake was seen as not being credible for whatever reason, and this all had to do with Stormy. It's like, really? Stormy's credible? I think Stormy Daniels is mentally ill as well. Just my opinion. But I mean, if you just look at these women are my age. Older, actually. Okay? And they're still taking their clothes off on camera. That's not sane. And neither is even really in good shape. That points to even more insanity. If you don't have a banging body, you don't need to be getting naked on camera, especially if you are not classifying yourself as a BBW. Both of these women, in my opinion, need to be classifying themselves as BBWs. And hey, I went through a phase to where I gained a little weight, but I lost it. All right? But if you've gained weight, stop. When you get to a certain age, stop, especially if you're a parent. Oh, I think that really that APAG from the start has been a front for an escorting racket. I think she needs to be investigated. I think her devices need to be confiscated and analyzed, just to see if she's running girls. I feel the same way for Fatarosi's wife, Vanessa Blue, and the same way of the leader of that newly formed collective called BIPOC, Black and Indigenous People of Color. Whenever you got a madam who's pimping girls, trafficking women, nowadays, the first thing they try to do is legitimize themselves by creating some sort of an organization. That's their front. That's why you got to stay away from those organizations unless you want to be sex trafficked. As of current, it appears at least that Donald Sion registered a domain attached to a website that's like a metaphorical gun being held to the head or the heads of the individuals who control the Daily Beast. Do I want to say the name of the site? No, I don't. But it's a domain that encompasses the Daily Beast trademark. And this particular domain and the website attached to it contains all kinds of incredibly slanderous, libelous, even threatening material, all geared towards the staff of the Daily Beast. And upon first glance, you would think, oh, this is just a crazy stalker site, right? I think I've even been mentioned on this because Alana, if she could shut me up, she would, but she can't. But I think if someone were to investigate that site, they would see that it's Alana posting on that site. I think as of current, Alana is actually blackmailing Sion. And by no means is Sion innocent in this equation. He is going to end up in prison no matter what. It's sad. But it's only sad because, you know, he managed to breed so many children. Shit. But once Sion's picked up, and he will be, he's probably going to end up ratting out Alana. But Alana, as of current, I believe is blackmailing him to do her bidding. Another website that Alana seems to be posting on is Gene Ross's old site. There's a lot of people in the industry who know what she's up to. They're scared of her, like I said at the beginning of this podcast. But there's no reason to be scared of her. She doesn't hold any power. She's a very insecure individual. And, you know, over the next few weeks, as she's increasingly exposed, don't be surprised if you see her start to take a few steps back and fade more into the background. Because the only power that she's really had is being able to disassociate herself from her alter egos, her aliases, and her organized crime connections. Primarily that connection that is that sex trafficking group, Kelli Roberts of the Luxury Companion. So that's about it for tonight.